Last time on Silver Spike Prospecting, I had completed a preliminary sampling of the smaller particulates collected out of 25 pounds of ore received from Mount Baker Mining and Metals. I still need to crush this portion. Here is the concentrates I have collected thus far. I have also went and picked through the entire box and selected out the ones I believe would yield the most precious metals. All of this in the classifier I will consider my high grade. Enough time has passed since I watched this that it is dry enough to classify. Even furthermore, I am going to roast it to make it much easier to crush. Introducing my co-star once again. He loves gold just as much as I do. Huh, Smokey? In this container, I have the larger pieces I will be roasting. In this container, I'm going to break that down into 2 batches for the ball mill. That one should be enough for 1 batch through the ball mill. It is time to roast some ore. I've taken all the larger pieces from the batch here. I'm also going to roast the high grade. I've placed as much ore in the Dutch oven as possible for the roast. Now it's time to build a fire. I've made a custom little fire pit just for this roast. The roast is going really well. Gonna let that stay hot for a while. Burn off all those sulfites. Should make it easier to break up. Now that the fire has calmed down, I'm going to use the coals to get some extreme heat in that Dutch oven. I added a little more wood to the fire to increase the temperature to help continue the roast. Don't try this at home. Vinegar. Here's what the ore looks like after a good roast and quenching with vinegar. Definitely a significant difference in the color and very fragile. Time to smelt some concentrates. My flux and the concentrates are in the crucible. Starting to smelt. This is a preliminary smelt. This one's definitely taking a bit longer than normal. Looks like we're ready to pour. This smelt, it seemed like it was a little thick when I poured it. Hopefully the button on the bottom remains. Not bad, better than I thought. Once again on this smelt, I used silver as a collector metal. Slag has been broken off. Nothing accumulated in the second cone mold. The first one, this nice little button came out. The slag looks pretty decent. Glassy. There's a few small beads inside still, so I gotta smash it up and resmelt that portion, but as for this, it's pretty ideal. Here's the buttons from the concentrates from the preliminary sampling. Now, the next project is crushing all the ore I roasted. Let's get this crush started. Since I named my sluice box Sluicenstein, I've decided to name the ball mill Frankenmill. I think it's hungry. The crushed ore I'm classifying through 50 mesh. I'll be running this through Sluicenstein. I'm going to crush as much of this roasted ore as possible with the hammer on the railroad track piece. I use it as my anvil and break them up as much as possible before I utilize the ball mill. I'm hoping to get as much of the ore crushed as possible through the ball mill before it requires a major repair. This bolt here keeps on popping out. The threads are worn through. It originally had a wing nut on it. When my neighbor repaired it, he replaced the bolts. I actually need to redo this entire cylinder. I have like at least 3 inches of space I could utilize for more crushing area. I'm going to attempt to build one or find a cylinder that will meet my needs. Well, unfortunately the weld broke in the spot that holds the bolt in place for the lid. I'm going to have to repair this before I can continue crushing any more of the ore. I will crush the roasted ore on a later date. There's no point in crushing it currently until the ball mill is repaired. This still requires crushing as well as this. I'm going to empty out the ball mill, classify what did get crushed, add it to the rest, then run it through Sluicenstein and get ready for a smelt. I really wanted to crush all 25 pounds of this ore in this video, process it through the sluice box and smelt it. Unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, it will not happen in this video. If I decide to do a part 3 to this after repairing the ball mill, I will put up a message on the community post. The crushed ore has been thoroughly saturated in water and stirred up real good. Now for the very first scoop through Sluicenstein. It's been a while and it is very hungry. Let me process this material through and gather up all the concentrates and get ready for a smelt. With this particular setup, you need to feed it nice and slow. Let that water wash all that material off of the spoon. Don't just drop it in there because it'll be a clump. It'll get washed right down to the very bottom. There we go. Just like that. The material has been ran through the sluice box. I'm going to let that run a little bit. Then I'll gather up the concentrates. I will be cleaning up the tailings and collecting any concentrates I have missed as well. I have Sluicenstein all disassembled. I'm about ready to clean up the concentrates as well as the tailings. Definitely not My best day here at Silver Spike prospecting the ball mill had some issues, and obviously the sluice box is running a little bit one-sided. Now that's what you want to see in the bottom of your pan. A nice line of gold. A little bit closer for everybody. As close as the camera can get without using the microscope. Very good result this far. Let me go through the tailings. The last of the tailings are in the pan. It's really not looking too good for either pieces of my vital equipment. My sluice box is pushing through too much material into the tailings, and my ball mill has a severe bolt malfunction. Concentrates on the right are from Sluicenstein. The concentrates on the left are from panning the tailings. Time to dry them up and weigh them up. Here is the concentrates straight out of the oven. You'll notice a third portion there. I went through the tailings twice. I'm gonna let these cool off and we'll throw it on the scale and weigh it up. From the sluice box. From the first cleanup of the tailings. Ouch. Sluicenstein is not operating sufficiently. The second panning of the tailings. I definitely need to upgrade my equipment. Let's get a grand total. Remove all the concentrates. Tar it up. Gotta make sure to account for the tray weight. Tar it up once again. Let's get the grand total. .92 grams of concentrates accumulated from a partial crush, originally from 25 pounds of ore. The rest is on standby until my equipment is repaired. Let's get this ready for a smelt. I'm going to use the button I made from the previous smelt of this very same ore's concentrates. Let's throw that on the scale to see the total. 90.07 grams. The exact weight of the button I've added to the concentrates as a collector metal from the previous smelt. That should get quite larger once the smelt is completed. I certainly hope there's enough propane to complete this smelt. Really hot now, about to make a pour. The pour came out relatively decent, nice and liquidy. We'll see what the cone mold yields when I break off the slag. At first glance, before breaking off the slag, the button already looks bigger than it previously did before adding the additional concentrates. Not bad thus far. I'm not really expecting anything from the second cone mold, but I'm going to break up the slag anyway. Stand by. I was wrong. There was this big nasty glob in the middle of the cone mold. 64.30 grams of concentrates from the smelt out of the material I was able to process and crush. This is all I'm going to be able to do for this video until my equipment is back up and operational. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.